What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. Let me double check and make sure I've got audio because it seems to be weird sometimes. Let me know if you can hear me okay. What's up, Alex? I'm getting texts and all kinds of stuff. CBD Suddy, what's going on? Hello. Crypto Chef is in the house. What's up, man? ADA $10 by 2025. That'd be nice. I don't see it, but that'd be nice. This better not be clickbait, Crow. How often do I clickbait you guys? When was the last time I've clickbaited? I don't think I've done that. I don't really do that. Audio's good. All right. Good deal. I don't have an audio metric on this, so it's difficult sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and just dive into this. I figured I am live because I just figured, why not? I'm not doing a whole heck of a lot this afternoon, and I figure I'll go ahead and go live and say hi and answer questions. So get them ready. The more active and engaging questions I've got today, the longer I'll probably stay live. So first things first, obviously we're getting a bit of another pump, which is not making that much sense to me. I am very interested to see how this all continues, but looking at the charts, I mean, we're getting another pump. Obviously we had the big fake out because of the news on Cointelegraph, the fake news. And basically saying that, BlackRock's ETF was passed and all that other stuff. And then, of course, Bitcoin, everything pumped. But we know that's not true. And so, I saw the CEO basically saying, Bitcoin or in crypto, you have to be first. If you're not first, you're last. I'm like, first of what? Did they get an official report that said that the BlackRock ETF was approved or not? Like, what is it? Because I don't think that happened yet, but I could be wrong. Insiders know a lot more than the rest of the world does. We're always last to know anything. They got to let all of the big whales and the big important people that are already super wealthy get first crack at whatever's going on behind the scenes. So we find out after the fact. But even though we did get that little pump and then we came back down a bit, we're starting to range out a little, but you can see on Cardano, this is on a 15-minute chart. You can see we got the big pump over here, and we came back down, and then here we are. We're starting to range again after another little pump, and I got a green arrow here basically that's saying that's probably it might be a good time to buy, but that could be very short-lived. Okay. And obviously we're in the US market time, so anything could happen, but it's interesting. Looking at Cardano's TVL currently at $186 million. And, there's so much happening, but not at the same time. Like there's a lot of activity on stuff that already exists, but there's not a lot of new stuff happening just yet, but it's coming. So one of the first things that I wanted to address was how I was wrong. Okay, I made a big mistake, and I want to make sure that I address that. As I always say, I'm always right sometimes. And I did this video where I'm talking about Cardano Foundation and the changes to delegation. And it's WTF is happening, Cardano, new delegation strategy. It's already got like 8.8 thousand views. It was just 18 hours ago. And I was a little confused, and I'm glad I was. I'm glad I'm wrong about this because I was kind of pissed. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little pissed. But if we look at the comments here, people were pointing it out to me, and I just pinned this one just so that everybody sees it. Crow, this is referring to how the Cardano Foundation decides to stake its own ADA. Not a general explanation of how staking works across the network. Currently, they delegate their ADA to single pools, which they rotate every 3 months. Typically, their aim is to support smaller and community-driven nodes. However, they are in the process of extending the delegation period to 12 months, and its eligibility for delegation won't be limited to a single SPO. So that is a very good explanation, and I'm grateful. Now, there are some changes that have been happening and proposed changes as well that I'm not too happy with, but it could go either way. I mean, we don't necessarily know or understand all of the details of every little decision made, but you know, ultimately, this was a big mistake on my part. I just got back. I mean, I had just got back from Arizona, and I was exhausted. I've had like a weird, I don't know if it was a gas pain. I don't know what's been going on, but I had some kind of jambalaya or whatever, and I woke up at 4 a.m. yesterday with the worst pain in my side. And we're thinking, is it a gallbladder issue? Is it a kidney issue? Like, what's happening? And my wife, who's basically like not a doctor but is a doctor, she's, and she gives me all these supplements and all this stuff, and she's like, this should help you. And the doctor said, listen, if you're not better by 5 p.m., you're going to have to go to urgent care. And luckily by 5 p.m. it was actually better. And then I woke up today and I'm getting back to normal. And I think I'm going to actually start training tomorrow for my karate combat fight coming up. So that'll be interesting. I haven't been training yet because it started off where I had this dental thing. Turns out and my head was in agony. And I went to the dentist and they said, well, you've got a crown that's coming down, and every time you push on it, it's aggravating the nerve and it's just wrecking your face. And I'm like, I feel it. So let's do something about it. So they ended up drilling that down, and I was going to get a root canal. I was going to get it all pulled. I was so done with it, but they're like, no, we don't want to do that because you've got a new crown. You've got all this stuff going on. We don't want to ruin it. So anyway, so that's basically where I'm at. And my wife is going to start training me at the gym. Because there really just isn't anybody I trust more than her right now. And I'm joining the jiu-jitsu gym. I'm joining they do jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai in the same facility. So I'm going to start going there, and I'm just getting trained up, ready to throw hands a little bit. And so I think that'll be a really good time. And that fight, I think, is supposed to happen. It's either going to be February or March. And I think it's going to be in the Dominican Republic. I'm not 100% sure because nothing is 100% set in stone yet. But yeah. And, I'm supposed to be fighting Moon Daddy. He's like 6'4", and he was in the NFL, I guess, for a while. And he's a cool dude. I don't have any animosity or ill will towards him at all. I'm not planning on going out and trying to, hurt the guy. And I don't think he's in that headspace either. I think it's going to be a good time. And, we want it to be entertaining, but we're both middle-aged guys. Like, we're not going in there thinking this is going to be, like Tito versus Chuck, right? Like, it is what it is. But you never know, man. I mean, when the adrenaline's pumping and things are happening, anything could happen. So we'll just have to see. Let's see here. Some other stuff going on. FTX. Looks like FTX, there may be an opportunity for people to get their money back. We'll see. I hope so. After thorough investigations, reports have revealed a significant amount of funds missing from FTX customer assets. Following this, FTX Trading Ltd and its associated list of debtors have come together to propose a settlement that would see the majority of lost crypto and financial assets refunded back to customers. This would be really, really good, man. I know there are a lot of people out there that lost a lot of money on this. I didn't touch FTX with a 10-foot pole. I was never about it, but that doesn't mean doesn't mean anybody that was. You get what I'm saying? Like, you never know anymore. Like, you just don't. On Monday, October 16th, FTX debtors agreed to settle its pending Chapter 11 court case, customer shortfall case. The bankrupt crypto exchange proposed a resolution offering FTX customers more than 90% of their missing assets toward the end of quarter 2 of 2024. FTX debtors have also put forward a $9 billion reimbursement for FTX.com and another $166 million for FTX.us. So hopefully there's a shining light for everybody, and people will start seeing some of that money back because it's a pretty big deal. And So and I also wanted to show, because some people are wondering, oh, because I did this video and that I seemed a little frustrated with Cardano Foundation or whatever, and I saw the thing that George with Cryptos R Us was saying. He sent me the video because I told him some things in private, and I didn't expect them to become public knowledge or public news. I mean, it wasn't anything terrible, and it was kind of true to a certain extent. But for anybody that sees that, I mean, he gets a lot of views, and George knows that I have been insanely bullish on Cardano for years and years and years, since the very beginning. And I told him in private, and I don't want to get too deep into it because it's not nearly a big deal. But yeah, I mean, there's some truth to what he said, and that when I was like the only YouTuber talking about Cardano, it seemed like Charles was all about me, right? Like, and we used to chat, and he'd come on my channel, and we'd do interviews and things, and I felt like we had a pretty good rapport. But then he started his own YouTube channel, and then we had the bull market, and then after that, I went to Puerto Rico, and I just was not very active on YouTube during that whole 6-month period, 7 months. So while everyone else is growing, I was not. So my channel didn't get bigger, right? And then after that, it seems like he just kind of fell off the face of the earth with me. And I don't know if, it got to a point where people were like reaching out to me to try and reach Charles. And that was kind of annoying because I'm like, first of all, Charles never listened to me. Like I didn't have the kind of relationship with Charles where it's like we're broing out over beers, like zooming around the country, bar hopping or anything. Like it was never anything like that. It was more just casual chat. And I've always wanted to figure out like what can I do to get more involved in Cardano. And it just, nothing ever really went anywhere. To this day, I've never received a penny for anything I've ever done for Cardano or Charles or any of that stuff. I've never really asked. That's never what it's been about. But when Charles started getting bigger on YouTube and doing his own thing, and I just didn't grow with the rest. I just felt like Charles he would leave me on red a lot. It's like I don't know if he's. I don't know, man. I just felt like I was kind of cast aside, very much so. And it went from, pretty cool, pretty decent relationship to just nothing. And, and George and I were talking about it in private chat. And I just told him, I'm like, listen, man, I don't think Charles gives two shits about me. I mean, it's like, I haven't grown. There are a lot of other Cardano guys now that are, they're talking about it and sucking up all the traffic and everything else. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just some old dude on the interwebs at this point. Like I don't feel particularly important on any level. And so I just don't do as much. I mean, if I'm honest, and that's probably a really bad approach, but I also have other projects that I'm building, and I'll show you guys a little bit about what I've been working on for years now. And it's like I don't have any ill will towards Cardano or Charles or anything. I mean, the guy, who the fuck am I in the grand scheme of anything Charles is doing, right? Like I wouldn't expect to matter that much, but I do feel like I played a pretty significant role, especially early on, in kind of building Cardano's momentum for sure. But at the same time, I benefited from that. I benefited from that substantially. And so it like Charles doesn't owe me shit, nobody owes me anything. And it's like, I don't have any ill will. And, George said that I was pretty distraught. I'm not distraught. It's not like, oh my God, like I'm not distraught over any of it. It's just kind of one of those things where you definitely feel, slighted isn't even really the right word, but you kind of realize what your value is overall to people at different times. And that's it. So it is what it is, but I felt like I wanted to clarify a little bit. Like, no, I'm not distraught, and I have absolutely no ill will at all. It's just, and some of it's my own doing. Like I wasn't consistent through the last bull market where everyone else was blowing up. I was just kind of in bed with vertigo. And it is what it is. So I just wanted to make that clear for whatever anybody is, and I like George. I've always liked George, and he wasn't, he wasn't trying to be shady or anything like that. I was definitely a little surprised to see like kind of a private chat, be discussed on his channel, but it is what it is. So, and to show you guys what I'm talking about, this is all the shit that I've been working on. All right. So number one, we've got Soblocks. Okay. This is my social media platform that we're building on Cardano. And my developer's still plugging away, working on new features, and we're trying to get all of the main stuff because we still haven't launched any of the key reasons for launching Soblocks yet. But people are posting, and there's not a lot of engagement yet because it's still been more or less beta. But it shows you like who to follow, and there's a lot of stuff, man. Like the groups, you can create groups on here, and this does work. You can take your group and say only people that have my NFT can access this private group, right? So like you see the Crow token group has 47 members. You're only getting in there if you hold Crow tokens. There's just a lot of different groups and stuff that I've personally created to kind of get it seeded and get it started. You see my Twisted Times group. So, and there's a lot of different stuff that's coming. You've got your own wallet, you got the block leaderboard. So when you post and when you engage in things, you earn block tokens, but you're not actively earning block tokens just yet, but you're earning, it's on a ledger system right now. And when we implement block tokens on the platform, everybody's going to get this number of block tokens. And it shows you like who's the most engaging on the site. Chef Crypto right now is number one, 147 posts, 502 comments. Dude's a rock star. And he actually helps me with other things on the side. I really would like to he lives far away, and I would love to have someone like him on as an assistant or something, but he lives too far. But yeah, man, I mean, and there's other stuff. Explore it. You know what I mean? Have some. And when we add all of the features and the functionality that we plan to be adding to this, it's going to be sick. Okay. It's going to be really, really cool. So it's just a matter of time. Of course, all of you guys know about my murder of crows. This is on Cardano. I don't even know what the statistics are. You can still mint them. I'm sure there's still a few thousand left. We created 10,000 of these. They're random. They're cool, and everybody loves them. And I love seeing them all over the place. And there are things that I'm going to be doing with these down the road. A lot of stuff is going to come to fruition more in the bull market. But I do plan on doing some more stuff with those, with Cornucopias and the like. And then this is my Twisted Times collection. Nobody has still solved this. I did this on Cardano, and I started this during the pandemic because everybody was all locked up and nobody could leave or do anything. And I created this whole series. There are 24 of these. And I did this with an artist who I basically explained exactly what I want each scene to have, what I want them to look like. And this is the future human. Just everybody is damn near like a gray alien, and there's no real distinguishing anything because, if you're, yeah, I mean, you can figure all that out on your own. But, Unity, just all of these, and each one of these holds a code or a cipher or something. And there are 24 of these codes. And if you figure them all out in order, then you can unlock the treasure chest wallet. And that treasure chest wallet is basically like every time these Twisted Times NFTs are sold on the secondary market, the royalty, you got Q, for all you QAnon people, how you got Q and he's just throwing a bunch of shit to the wall to see what sticks. Some of you are going to disagree with that, but I think some of you QAnon people are really pretty nuts. I mean, let's be honest. I'm still waiting for, who is it that's supposed to come back from the dead? I can't remember. They were all waiting for him in a rally. I'm like, this shit is getting so nuts. Sorry to laugh, but come on, man. There's there's a point of no return on either side of the fence. Let's be real. And this is my representation of politics. You know, they're just doing what they can to suck the money out of us so that they can shit it out into all of their special interests and the people that are keeping them in office. And that's pretty much the cycle right there. And anyway, nobody's figured out the puzzle. And so it's kind of funny, and you know, and it continues to grow. So every time there's a secondary market sale, then the royalties go directly into the Twisted Times treasure wallet. So this will grow over time. And if people ever start wanting to collect these and trade these, there aren't that many. There aren't that many. These things are all kind of rare. I think there might be 100 of each. I can't remember. I don't even think there's that many. I'd have to double check. But anyway, I think that these are some of the greatest NFTs ever created, and I don't care if I'm biased. They're freaking awesome. Angry Alex. I mean, come on, man, with the gay frogs. This shit, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you might look at some of this stuff and be like, oh, I don't get it. Then that's probably not meant for you. But I mean, how do you not? I don't know, man. It blows my mind. I honestly think that this should be one of the biggest collections out there in all of Cardano, all of NFTs. But, you know, still a lot of people don't know about it. But anyway, that's one of the fun projects I did during the pandemic because I wanted to give people a community, you know, a reason to kind of work together and solve some problems. And it still hasn't been solved. It blows my mind. Then you've got this. This is coming very, very soon. This is Eternalized AI. This is my AI platform that I've been working with a key developer with and a couple other guys. And I already have, so if you really want to know like what this is all about, this article here, I wrote this myself, and this breaks down everything. Like I got emotional writing this, and it's just a very, very, very big deal because the whole reason for spawning Eternalized is basically you know, building your legacy. It's about creating a legacy. And I talk in this article about how, you know, I wish that my grandfather was still around so that I could talk to him about all of his stories and things in his life. And you know, it's like I want to have a legacy for my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids. And that's basically what this is about. I've got myself, Crypto Keeper, Crypto Face. That's going to be an interesting one. George with Cryptos R Us. These guys are all signed up so far. And we're going to be launching Eternals of each of them. And you're going to be able to chat with them anytime. And when we get close to launch, I'm going to break down everything in detail. But ultimately, you're going to have 24/7 access to all of these people, and their AI models will continue to grow and be updated. And we've just got a lot of plans. And ultimately, we want to create it so that the general public is going to be able to sign up, create their own AI model, and build it over time as a service, so that they have this everlasting legacy by which their family can engage them, ask them questions. And you know, I just think it's going to be a really powerful thing. And then ultimately, there is a very high likelihood that some of these AI models, these Eternals, will be used in gaming because there will be companies that come to us and say, hey, you know, we've got a lot of different we've got this metaverse, or we've got this world, and we'd really like to use some of your models. And then we're building a system so that we can profit share on that. So if somebody's AI model is used in a game and we're generating some sort of API revenue or something, then we're going to be sharing that revenue with the people that have been selected. And it's just there's a lot to it. But ultimately, it boils down to legacy. And I think this is going to be a really big deal. So that I'm building. And I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, it's going to either utilize Cardano to some extent, whether it's for payment or what. So those are the projects that I've been building and working on. And they're just, and I'm, you know, that's just what I do. I like to stay busy. So Cardano, this is the big question. Can Cardano hit $6.60 in the next bull market? And Crypto FOMO's YouTube channel believes it will. And I thought I would cover this because I like seeing some of the different perspectives of all of the new Cardano folks that kind of look at it and they're like, hey, I really like this, and I think this could go to this point. So he says, So in the previous bull market, if we saw Cardano do from the bottom to the top, we saw it do about 165x. You take that and divide that number by 6, and that means that you get a much smaller number, right? Very good. So 165 divided by 6, you get about 27.5. So that means that from the low to the top, Cardano is going to go 2,750%. And if you look at that, you see here that the chart from 23 cents, which is the current low, you go to about 27.50, and you get really to a target of around $6.60. So to make $1 million, you need to invest only 40 grand. And so that's his perspective, and more power to him on that. And I think that there is some relevance to that. I think there's some truth to that. I'm not familiar with this individual, but apparently he likes Cardano, and then he shows some charts. And, listen, I mean, when Cardano basically went from 2 cents to $3.14 in 6 months, right? So it'll be very interesting to see what we do from here. All right, so let's take a look at, I wish there was a randomizer for the comments and questions. There's about 221 of you. Let's see if there's any questions that we're going to answer this afternoon. What's up? I just see a lot of hellos. What were you wrong about? Well, you go back. I was wrong about the video I did yesterday. I thought that the Cardano Foundation was working on making dramatic changes to how all of the staking nodes operate, and that's not it. They were the whole breakdown was based off of what Cardano Foundation is planning to do with their own ADA that they stake themselves, and what their systems are going to be related to that, who's going to benefit from it, and some of the restrictions that they're going to be lifting on multi-pool operators and things. That's what it boiled down to. So yeah. Will Bitcoin go down anymore? I still think it will. Yeah, I really do. I think that Bitcoin is, I know we're getting this pump, and it's not making a whole hell of a lot of sense just yet, unless if and I don't think this is how it works. I don't think this is how it's going to work, but unless the news that Cointelegraph put out about the Bitcoin ETF actually passing, it could be that they did get the approval and people in the know are still buying it up. And that Cointelegraph article wasn't supposed to have come out. And that's what they meant by, well, if you're not first, you're last. And maybe they heard something, they found out something that nobody else knew, even though BlackRock has basically said this is not true. Do the big institutions, do they really want us knowing what's going on before all of them do? So, and this could be a lot of people picking it up in the grapevine, like, oh, BlackRock's getting approved, and even though that article came out prematurely, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Gerard Keegan, what's going on? I'm 58 years young and reasonably new to crypto. Do you definitely believe that most altcoins will pump in the next bull run? Yes. I think even the shittiest of shit coins are probably going to pump in the next bull run. It's really about liquidity, and it's about because when Bitcoin rises, everything else does too, and it's just the way it is. Money flows out. You've got automated algorithmic trading bots that are looking for things like you can have the shittiest altcoins on in crypto, and they will still pump if for no other reason than automated trading bots are picking them up, and then that creates a flow. And there's so much automated trading in the crypto space. And I'm going to be doing it. I mean, post halving, I'm probably going to be doing a lot more automated trading. I'm working on some stuff right now where I really love dabbling in like AI code and learning how to use artificial intelligence and a lot of these different platforms to create trading bots, or at the very least trading strategies that are able to find some really solid confluence and things to expect in trading on short and longer time frames. So yeah, I mean, I think everything is likely going to pump. Now the question there is what will pump over others, right? So let's just assume that everything in the crypto market will pump at some point, whether it's pump and dump tokens, shit coins, or legitimate, tokens. At that point, the fundamentals are going to dictate how much it pumps, where it's at in its development cycle. That's where the details come, because I mean, it's all likely going to go up. It's just a matter of how much. Do you think Gary Gensler will exposed with Caroline being on the stand testifying? Do I think he'll be exposed? I have no idea, man. I've watched some of the stuff about this trial, and it seriously blows my mind, because from what I understand, Gary Gensler was like meeting with them fairly often for months and months, 6 months, a year. I don't know how long it was. And I'm thinking, if you're a regulator with the power to pull docs and records and things and just make sure things are on the up and up, like what were these meetings about? Like, what were they talking about? And I have to imagine that somebody as intelligent as Gary would be able to speak to these people and realize they're buffoons. So, and when you have buffoons that are in charge of billions of user funds, I don't understand how any of that makes sense. I really don't. I don't understand how it got to where it got. So, I'll leave that for the political people to figure out, the financial people. But will he be exposed? I don't know. I'm going to say I doubt it, because let's just put it this way: if there is any kind of grand agenda associated with FTX and politics and everything else, they're going to have a judge that makes sure that none of that stuff is admissible or leaked to the public. I mean, that's just how it is. That a lot of these people are protected on so many different levels. And I feel like to some degree, depending on what side you're on, you fail up. I mean, the more you're willing to, cut some corners and play with morals and things like that, the higher you go. So who knows? What did I just hit? I just hit a button. I don't know what happened. When do you start averaging out, ATH or time frame after Bitcoin halving? That's an interesting question, Brian. For me, I look at indicators like, oh shoot, what's the big one that I like to use? It's the Bitcoin top. It's like shit. Hold on, I can't even remember now. The pi cycle top oscillator. That's what I like to use, because that's been dead ass every time. Not to say that it's going to continue to be, but yeah, I like to use that. And if we've got a very large gap, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up and show it to you. Hold on, because this is what after the halving, this is what I start looking at. And the closer it gets to closing in on itself, the more I'm paying very, very close attention. So in the last peak of the market, you guys will know that I called the peak on Twitter to the day, pretty much. And then that afternoon, and I got that from this indicator that I'm about to show you. I got that from this. But what a lot of people don't know is that I called a 2-peak market on that same afternoon. So the same day I called the market top, I also called a 2-peak market. And there are a lot of people are like, well, how did you do that? How did you know that? And that was because I compared it to traditional stock markets of previous. And you can see that it was identical to like the NASDAQ 2007 market. And I'm like, this is matching the price action so identically, which is also one of the reasons why I got into the Wyckoff trading method, because that's what all the big institutions use. So if you're using a very similar trading method and you start to see like Wyckoff patterns matching in crypto or Bitcoin. And then you think, I wonder who else does this. And then you compare that to, you start comparing charts with like the traditional markets. And then you say, oh, wow. So the exact same things that have been happening this past year are happening right now in crypto. And if we're comparing it from A to B, we can see that this also ended up in a 2-peak cycle. Maybe we're going to be doing the exact same thing. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did. So, but yeah, this is what we're looking at here. So we're looking at this spread. And when this closes together, that's when we peak. So like right here, you can see this was the close, this was the peak, and that closed up. And so we've got a very wide berth here. So we've got plenty of time. When we had a similar berth, there was like a good year. I mean, I don't think that we're going to peak out until 2025. It could be late 2024, but I'm highly doubting it because that doesn't give us much time. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for as like one of my key indicators. And then from there, like the closer we get to closing this gap, I mean, you can see this got real narrow here. This was June 2017, and we didn't close that gap until December. Okay, so that's how much time that took. I mean, you can get real narrow before it actually closes up. And I did a lot of videos in the last cycle where I was like comparing these, and I'm like, okay, this is about how far we have. This is how much, and I was kind of just zeroing in on that. So yeah, we've got plenty of time. And so this is the last peak, April 2021. And then boom, they just shot apart. And then we're starting slowly to start closing this gap yet again. And that will ultimately keep us, that'll keep us going into the next bull market. And yeah, so that's that. And let me see here. My lights are so bright I can't see my own mouse on my screen. I probably need some sort of widget, something to help me. Smash the likes, crows. Yeah, smash those likes. Crow, is it maybe time to put Caspa as your second pick? It's going to be huge. I don't know. Only 6 now. I still think it could very potentially get to $8. I'm assuming you're talking about Ozempic. I don't take Ozempic. I've been on Mounjaro, and it's been pretty good. But yeah, I've been off of it for a couple weeks, and I've put a few pounds back on. But I'm getting back into the whole regimen because I went to Arizona, man, and we just ate. We ate, and I can't fly without drinking a lot. So, you got stomach paralysis from semaglutide. So I asked about that, and I said, "Hey, is this from the shot?" And they're like, "No, it's not, because when you have the issues from like your Mounjaro or your semaglutide or whatever, they said it's typically right after you get your shot, you have an adverse reaction." And I hadn't been on it for a week and a half. I drank a lot and I ate a lot over a 3-day period because I think I had 8 scotches just to get on the plane to Arizona, and I had like another 6 on the way back, and I just think it wrecked me. Honestly, I'm done drinking. I mean, I just can't do it. If I do, I'm gonna have one here and there, but that's it. Just for me to get on planes, like I even posted on Twitter, I'm like, help me, I'm freaking. And I have this thing where I start playing all of the situations in my head, and I start having all these like visualizations of what might happen, what could happen, and how sad it'd be, and how terrible it is, and and I try to get myself all amped up, and I'm like, I have to be drunk enough that I can laugh all the way down to the impact zone. I mean, really, and that's how bad it is for me to fly. The way there was worse, way worse, and then the way home, I was already locked in. I'm like, well, it is what it is. You just kind of have to throw and the flights both ways were fine. Everything was fine. But I can only do first class. I can't. I have no choice. Otherwise, I'm cooped up, and I'm like, then I'm really freaking out. I have to be able to even get remotely comfortable. I have to have drinks on the plane, and it has to be a straight through flight. I can't do the up and down, connecting here, connecting there, all the anxiety associated with it. I can't fuck with none of that. I just can't do it. So if I can't get there in a straight flight, I'm not going.
Why do you buy ADA when it's bleeding against Bitcoin at the moment? Just a question. Because I'm not buying Cardano because of what the price is right now. I buy Cardano because of the technology. I buy Cardano because of all of the applications developed on it. Look at World Mobile Token. I mean, seriously, look at World Mobile Token. Look at Cornucopias. Look at some of the key catalysts for what I believe are going to be helping Cardano rise in this next bull cycle. Yes, Cardano or Bitcoin goes up and other altcoins bleed out against Bitcoin over time. I get it. Listen, I started buying back into Cardano at 50 cents and I told everybody flat out, I know the price is going lower from here. I don't give a shit. I just wanted to start my averaging in. And, you know, and maybe that could have been foolish. Maybe, who knows what could have happened between then and now. But, you know, everything is going the way I expected to. And, you know, I'm getting ready. I'm probably going to pick up some more at the 25 cent mark. But honestly, I want to get a little bit closer to the halving because I do think that there's a chance. I don't know. I don't know if we don't always have a big drop, within this time frame. We have and we haven't. We could have another big dip of like 40% between now and the halving. But because of these Bitcoin ETFs and everything that's going on with the spot ETFs and BlackRock and everything else, either A, we're not going to have that drop because of them, or B, we're going to have that drop because of them. But I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. So we just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I'm. And the thing of it is too, you have to understand. Let's say Cardano only ever got back to its original all-time high of $3. So what? Because to me, this is as much about risk aversion in the crypto space to me as it is about profitability and tech. In the sense that, okay, maybe I can take the same money, put it into some other altcoin, and hope that altcoin proves to be valid. Maybe that doesn't end up with a psychopathic CEO that wipes everybody or rug pulls or trashes or crashes the company or doesn't it. I mean, it's like at this point, I've seen it all, people. I've seen literally everything at this point, from hacks to teams imploding. I've seen everything. And I just feel more comfortable with my money sitting in Cardano. And I don't really care what all the noise is right now. I care about what it's done to prove itself over the years. And that's all there really is to it. You know, I mean, I know that Charles is 100% committed to the development, growth, and expansion of Cardano. And I'm sure that all of the other companies involved with it. I mean, I know the dedication of the people like World Mobile Token and I've got a chart, and this is my chart, and I forgot about this. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you. 267 of you on here. So this is the chart that that we basically have all of the current applications built on Cardano, right? And I've assigned some rather fairly extensive metrics associated with what I think is going to be most valuable. Okay. There are not that many greens on here. Okay. Total scores. I mean, I haven't even, looks like we added more. Okay. These are all games. These are all games and gambling. This is the games and gambling. And you know, there's a lot of stuff on here, man. NFT games, mobile MMORPGs, but you know, a score of 10, score of 11, right? There's just not that many. You've got some stuff in identity. You've got a couple IAG and NTX with scores above 35 for that matter. And then this is the point system, right? So project has potential between 36 and 50 points. Well, there really haven't been that many. I think there are one or two greens. Chainlink. Okay. Yeah, that ended up being green. Go figure. But it's not that. That's how it's going to relate to Cardano and work with Cardano. It's not even a real Cardano project. And that's it. I've been looking for projects with potential to keep my eye on. And even Cornucopias, that got a 35 based off of these very rudimentary metrics right now. And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff, man. And it's like,
there are a lot of projects being developed, and I'm sure there are even more, but I am being very, very careful. I'm not going to dump my money into a bunch of shit and hoping that things go well. I did that. I did a thing where I basically invested into 35 different projects, not just Cardano, but 35 different projects overall. And there is a link. Like if people want to access this, I think you can access it. It's actually on the Soblox group, as a matter of fact. You have to have Crow tokens to access it. But yeah, if you get into the Crow tokens group, and there's a link in here somewhere. So anyway, yeah, there it is. So if you've got Crow tokens, you can access the group, and then you can access the spreadsheet right there. And that's that. So anyway, yeah, I'm more about risk aversity at this point. If it's all the way down to 25 cents and it just got back up to $3, I'm still doing very, very well. And that's okay. It's like, I don't need to be greedy. And I feel like when people get greedy, they get careless. And I think when you get careless, that's when, you lose everything. You make big mistakes. And, it's like you have to always be learning, and you always have to, you have to do things in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but like I already went through the whole thing where, I have 35 projects that could change the world, and most of them went to hell in a handbasket. And I'm just not about that anymore. I'm about what I believe has proven itself over time. And to me, that's what Cardano has become. It started off as, wow, this looks like such an amazing idea with an amazing group of people that are kicking it off. And it's just been me following it ever since. And there are other really good projects out there. Don't get me wrong. There are other projects that are going to do very, very well for people. But I've got mine. I've only got as far as making a sign in to FTX. Thank goodness. My buddy lost 1,000 on Doge. Yeah, BTC to ADA in a few. Oh, I like George. I like George. I don't think that at all. CBD BitBoy warned me on his channel, and I saved 5K on FTX because of Ben. I was very grateful. That's very cool. I love you, Crow. You're the only bright light during this bear market. You give me strength to hold and believe and buy the dips. Well, I'm glad, Ralph. Listen, I as much as I love to say, I genuinely do love feeling helpful. Like I genuinely want to be helpful. I love trying to help people that maybe they don't know as much as me, or maybe they're eager to learn, or and I love trying to help change lives for the better. I mean, and I feel like I do everything I can in a very selfless way. I try to make a difference as best I can. And in a bull market, I'm going to make a bunch of money, right? Like it's just how it is on YouTube. In a bull market, everybody's numbers goes up, everything, and then you start doing paid segments after paid segments, and that adds up, and that grows also, right? And so it's like, you don't have to be a selfish bastard selling your soul to do really well by just trying to put a focus on helping people as best you can. I mean, I feel like if you're doing anything with any real like passion or serious interest in helping others, you're ultimately helping yourself by default. And maybe you don't end up like a crypto billionaire or whatever. I don't give a shit, man. I'm 45. I don't care about being a billionaire. I don't care about making $100 million. What would I do with all that anyway? I mean, and it's like, at the same time though, there is a legitimate responsibility to me, and it's one that I definitely take seriously. Like I always say, I'm always right sometimes. I'm not the end all be all. What I say does not always go. It's like everything is a learning process. And so the best advice I could give anybody is just don't pay attention to us. Only use what we say and the work we do to help you in your own work and effort. That's really the best advice I could give you. And it doesn't matter. I could sound like the smartest guy in the world. I just fucked up already. I just screwed up yesterday because I didn't completely understand the whole situation with Cardano Foundation. Granted, that's the first time I've been wrong in quite some time, but it happens. And that's I got a lot of shit back in the day when I was selling my Cardano. And everybody looked at that like I was some kind of trader. Like, oh, how dare you sell your Cardano? I've got diamond hands. I've got more diamond hands than Crow. Listen, I called the peak to the day. I called the 2 peak on Twitter. I called it all, and I told everybody exactly what was going on. And then I waited to announce when I was actually selling some of my crypto. And people got mad. Why? Because I could have been wrong. And if I was wrong, I didn't want to try and be first. I'm not trying to coin telegraph my statements, right? Where I'm more worried about the clout and being right and being, first to announce this or that, at the risk of basically sending everyone into the toilet. And it's like, I did what I did because that's what I felt was right for me. And then I told people a couple of weeks later what my process was and that I had already started averaging out. And it's like, oh, I wish you wouldn't have waited. We've gone down so much since then. The problem is, what if I didn't wait and it went up another 30%? And then everybody would have dumped, lost that profitability, and then blamed me. You can't win. Like, you cannot win as a YouTuber in crypto, because anything you do and say can ultimately be used against you, and you're the enemy. And so I just felt like it was better for me to just play it safe for the sake of everyone in case I was wrong. It's like, for people that really know, when the market is being called, and because I remember too, when I would get mad, I got like, when what's his face from Litecoin dumped all of his Litecoin. And I was like, what a bastard. But it's like, no, that's what you do. If you know the cycles and you understand what's happening, you're not a bastard. You're just doing what you know is right based off of the world and the market and the cycles and the systems and everything else in place. So it is what it is. I guess all I'm trying to say is that, like, don't be lazy in crypto, man. Like, don't be lazy. Because, all I could do is the best I can and try to guide people and help people understand things, help people stay informed of things, share my own projects, my own ideas, what I'm working on, hope that my community likes me enough to engage in some of the stuff that I'm building and things that I'm doing. But ultimately, like, this is all a bunch of what do they say? The one-eyed king is, or the one-eyed man is king in a village of the blind, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe I'm the one-eyed king, and there are a lot of people out there that just still, and I see a lot of new questions. I see a lot of people that just they don't know anything about crypto yet. Listen, I'm here for you as best I can, but always take things above and beyond just me or any other YouTubers. There are a lot of shady YouTubers, man. There really are. There are a lot of people in the crypto space that just don't give two shits about anybody. And, if I wanted to be a much, much bigger YouTuber, I'm quite confident I could be. All I'd have to do is shave off a little of my soul, focus more on greed and money. And I'm sure I could be pretty big. But with that, you also make a hell of a lot of mistakes, and it's just not worth it. I have a family that I very much care about. I have a life that I very much care about. I have, I have a lot that I care about, and I don't want anybody to ever get hurt from anything I do or say or anything. So, or anybody else on YouTube for that matter. So I appreciate the comment, and, just always be careful, no matter what. Always be careful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. It's almost an hour, and I feel like the longer I go, the more people are getting notifications. But unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time. Hopefully, this clears things up on my Cardano video yesterday. I still love Cardano, folks. I'm not going any freaking where. I love Cardano, and I love Charles too, for that matter. So don't let any of that stuff get you turned. It is what it is. We're all busy people trying to accomplish big things in a space that's still new, and it is what it is. I'm not a snowflake. I don't really get that butt hurt that easily. So don't worry about it. Until next time, guys, grow your coins, and I'll see you again soon.